Hello, everybody, and welcome to Enjoy English. I am your host, Shane.
大家好，我是 Bernice.
Hi, Bernice.
Hi, Shane.
Now, remember last time, day one, we were talking about parkour. Do you remember that?
Yeah, very exciting sport.
Very exciting. And the title of this was Parkour, Turning the City into a Playground. But since then, we've learned that it's not only can you play or do parkour in the city, there's also special gyms and training facilities where you could also practice parkour.
没错，所以老师刚刚讲了这个 parkour， 我们要用这个，你可以用 practice 或 do。OK， 这两个动词都可以。那为什么是城市？把这个城市变成一种游乐场？因为大部分我们是选择在城市这种有比较多的障碍物的这个地方啦。那当然，就像老师刚刚讲的，我们也可以在一些所谓的 gym 啊、健身房啦，哈，他们有一些训练的课程。
Okay, great. Let's get into it right after a moment.
OK。
Parkour, turning the city into a playground. When a group of parkour athletes gets together to train, the gathering may last from an hour to several days, depending on the difficulty of the challenges. Any space with different kinds of terrain can serve as an obstacle course. Practitioners can often be seen in public areas, jumping over benches, running up stairs, and vaulting over railings. Parkour is an excellent form of exercise with many benefits. It requires no special equipment, making it easy for almost anyone to try. It's also great for improving physical health, building confidence, and promoting quick thinking skills. However, the excitement of pushing limits can also come with risks. In addition to scrapes and bruises, more serious injuries like broken ankles are common. Some parkour athletes practice in dangerous areas, such as industrial zones or abandoned buildings. In those places, a single fall can result in serious injury or even death. If you decide to try parkour, it's important to know your skill level and progress gradually before attempting dangerous moves.
Okay, so let's get into the article.
Okay.
When a group of parkour athletes gets together to train, the gathering may last from an hour to several days.
Oh, yeah, several days.
Depending on the difficulty of the challenges. What?
Yeah,
several days?
Several days.
That's a lot of parkour. What, they don't sleep? What's going on here? That's pretty amazing.
可不是像 Shane 老师小时候这样子跑跑跳跳而已。
Just until I was like
Just
dark.
a few
Until my
moments
mom
or
would start
minutes.
yelling, Shane, get in here. It's dark. Dinner's ready.
Okay.
And then I would have to come in. But these guys are just going for days. That's amazing.
Okay.
All right. So depending on the difficulty of the challenges. So I guess, so depending on, if something depends on something else, it just means that A requires B for it to get done. So in this case, A is if we need to do it for several days or if we need to do it for just a few hours. It's going to depend, B, on the difficulty of the challenge. So how difficult is this challenge? So I guess they have some pretty intense parkour challenges.
Yeah, of course. 对，没错。所以刚刚老师解释很清楚，这个 A depend on B 就是指呢，他们两个呢 A 是要取决于 B， 也就是由 B 来帮他决定到底这个 A 要怎么做。所以呢，他说呢，如果今天你是一群呢这些所谓跑酷的运动员，假设你们大家聚集在一起准备做你们的训练的时候呢 ，the gathering 就是你们聚集在一起的这样的一个聚会呢，可能需要持续呢。从1个小时甚至好几天，你们都得一起在一起做这个训练。那到底要多久的时间 ？Depending on 就刚刚老师讲，取决于后面这件事，就是到底你的这个训练有多难嘛。
几天，好夸张哦。Okay, any space with different kinds of terrain can serve as an obstacle course. All right, now terrain is just the type of like if this is going to be concrete, if this is going to be like trees, is this going to be terrain is just kind of like how the ground and what's coming out of the ground looks like. We call a terrain. So it could be a terrain. Could be full of mud. It could be full of dirt. It could be full of concrete. It could be high and low. It could be very round. So this is the different kinds of terrains. So all of these different terrains serve as the obstacle course. Now to serve as just means that they will be that thing that you need. So they will become so for an obstacle course, these terrains actually will be the obstacle course. They serve as, they will be the obstacle course.
没错，所以老师刚刚解释的很清楚啦。它这个句子呢，一开始就是说呢，任何只要有不一样的这些地形的空间，这些 space。那刚刚老师讲 terrain 就是指你这个地表、这个地面的这个形状啊，比如说可能有的是比较固体的，那有一些可能是有泥巴呀等等等的。好，不管任何的这样的一些地形呢，都可以用来当做，所以刚刚老师讲 serve as 就是 be， 它就用来当做什么呢？当做他们的这个训练这个障碍的训练场。
Okay, so practitioners. So a practitioner is somebody who practices something or who does something, some type of an activity. So practitioners can often be seen in public areas, jumping over benches, running upstairs, and vaulting over railings. Whoa. So that's what makes it so cool to watch. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched parkour videos or on TV or something like that. It's very exciting because it's not just about climbing over a building or something. They jump over benches, they run stairs, they jump from one thing to another, they vault over railings. They do all kinds of things. And this is all in these public areas where people can just sit and watch or record it and like, wow, I'm going to put this on TikTok. This is really cool.
Yeah, 没错。所以呢，这些所谓从事跑酷的人呢，刚刚老师讲了这个practitioners 就是这个 practice 就是做这些事情的人啊，那也就是这些跑酷的运动家啦。那这些跑酷运动家呢，他们通常呢，我们都可以看得到他们，可以被看见，在什么地方呢？当然在一些公众场合，比如说你可能在公园啦，好，或者是其他的一些地方，你可以看到他们在做什么呢？第一个，比如说他们可能 jumping over benches， 他们会跳过一些公园的那个长椅嘛，因为刚好公园有很多椅子嘛，他们就可以 biu 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 一个跳过去。对，然后有很多的楼梯啊，他们就在那跑来跑去啊，跑上这个楼梯，甚至下面这个，我个人是觉得太可怕了。这个 vaulting 就是 jump over， 你整个这样翻过去。它的 railing， 我们知道 railing 呢，就是一般我们走路旁边都会有一些栏杆扶手，让你扶着的这些哈。那所以呢，它直接就翻越这些栏杆，真是吓人啊
！Sounds exciting. Okay, let's take a break and we'll be right back.
好的。
So I imagine you've never done parkour. No. Just watch it.
I dare to do that.
Just watch.
No.
Because, I mean, you know, some people could do it for exercise. You know, it's a good way to get your body fit. No. What kind of things do you...
Jogging is great.
Jogging?
Jogging is great.
Okay. All right, well, continuing our article, parkour is an excellent form of exercise with many benefits.
Okay. I agree.
Okay, so you agree?
I agree, but it's too dangerous for me, too risky for me.
Yeah, well, especially when you are not a teenager.
I cherish my life.
Or young, yeah. This is more of a kid's game.
对啦，
A
小朋
young
友
a
啦
young person's game.
对，或者年轻人嘛，年轻人比较胆子大一点，对不对？所以
Maybe into your 20s, maybe. Yeah, something
对，
like
所以
that.
其实比较稍微冒险一点、比较刺激一些的运动很好啦。所以这边就第二段就讲说，其实跑酷是一个非常棒的运动，我们大家也都同意这件事情，因为它真的呢有着非常多的好处。
Okay, continuing. It requires no special equipment,
OK，
making it easy for almost anyone to try. Right? So you don't need any equipment. So equipment is things that you need to do to perform a certain activity. So the equipment that you might need to play basketball is you will need a ball, right? And you will need a basket.
OK，
Right? And you will need a court. You know, you'll need certain equipment. But for parkour, the equipment is just out there in the city, out there in a gym. It's ready for you. You don't need to bring anything with you.
OK， 好的，所以他第二句又讲到他的其中一个好处呢，就是因为你做这个跑酷这样的一个运动呢 ，requires no， 它根本就不需要任何的特殊的一些 equipment。我们知道 equipment 它是一整套的一个设备，所以这个字是不可数的，不可以加 s。OK，、然后所以呢，因为这样的事情呢 ，which makes， 然后变成 making 这样的一个分词构句，所以使得呢这件事情变得很简单。什么事情很简单？ To try 就是试，你要去尝试做跑酷运动的这一些人，而且是 for almost anyone， 对于任何一个人，你只要想要尝试做跑酷运动的话，这样子的一个运动对你来说又不用任何设备，你也不用买什么东西，你就走到外面城市就开始跳啊、蹦啊、跑啊，这样就可以了。
Continuing. It's also great for improving physical health, building confidence, and promoting quick thinking skills.
You will become smarter.
Yes. Including like, you know, when you think about coordination and quick decision making, you know, really doing these kind of things, you have to decide things in not a second, not a half a second, like a micro second. You have to make decisions which way you're going to go, how far you're going to jump, which direction you're going to move. These things require you to be very agile of mind, right?
老师讲的 agile 就是很灵敏，你想东西要很快速、很敏捷的这个意思啦。
Yes.
所以就是后面老师在解释，就是这个 promoting quick thinking skills， 就是它可以怎么样呢？增进我们快速思考的能力，因为你要在不是几秒，甚至不到几秒，刚刚老师讲的，你就得决定我要从哪边这个跳过去，然后我要用什么样的方式。所以呢，确实啦，这个跑酷这样的一个活动呢，它同时呢也可以增进我们这个所谓身体上面的健康啦，改善我们身体的健康啊，也可以让我们建立我们的自信心，甚至也可以增进我们快速思考的能力。
Yeah, it really can improve your reaction time too,
没错。
right? So if somebody like in the Matrix, you know, when they were firing the gun, and then he can go back like this and avoid the bullets.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you can do that. if
他
you
在讲的是电影的特效。
The Matrix.
就是有人对
remember?
那个 Matrix 那个电影的时候呢，这个子弹打过来，你就可以咻咻咻就闪过这个子弹，这个只有在电影上面才能发生。OK， 好
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
好的。
Okay, so remember I was telling you before, like, I mean, I kind of did like parkour when I was a little bit younger, and I had my share of, I made mistakes. Okay? And these mistakes come at a cost,
OK，
and the cost is injury.
受伤了，那一定的啦。
You get hurt, you get some scrapes, you get some bruises. And
Yeah.
like I said, you know, even as you get older, because you put so much pressure on your joints, you know,
关节的地方。
especially your knees. I can't point to my knees, they're too low, and I can't bring them up to you, but you know, the knee is on the leg, right?
Okay.
And the knee, there's a lot of force and a lot of energy you put on there. And with with repetition, it will
重复一直重复。
Yeah, and if you do it for a long time, and if you do get injured, like
没
you
错。
could sprain an ankle
没有错。
or hurt yourself. So this brings us into the last part.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Yes, yes.
However, the excitement of pushing limits can also come with risks.
Risks,
Risks.
injuries.
Yes. So
没错。
there are not, I know this is all exciting. It sounds very fun and such a great way to go out and just, just let your energy out and play, right? Because it is a sort of playing,
Yeah.
right? So you're just playing by doing parkour. You're not playing it. But there are risks, injuries, like you said.
没错，所以呢，Shane 老师就刚才一开始呢，又给大家做了一个警告，你要做这个跑酷呢，很好，就像他以前在小朋友的时候，但是呢，他也有一些所谓的 consequences， 他要去这个承担的。那这些 consequences 就是这边讲的 risks， 也就是所谓的 injuries。他就受伤了，所以他的膝盖啊、关节这些地方啊，就让他现在呢年纪慢慢这个比较渐长的时候呢，就出现了一些问题了。所以呢，这一段就用 however 来开头。可是，然而，当你要去挑战这个极限的这个刺激，这个 excitement 啊，当你去 pushing limits 的时候，当然它会 come with， 我们讲 come with 就是伴随着，就是这个东西会随着你一起来。什么东西呢？就是这些风险。
That's right. There's no such thing as a free lunch.
对，天下没有白吃的午餐。
Okay? All right. In addition to scrapes and bruises, more serious injuries like broken ankles are common. Yes. So I'm pretty lucky. When I was a kid, I was mostly just scrapes and bruises.
Okay.
I never broke a bone
Okay,
or broke an ankle or broke anything or
Lucky.
even a sprain. I never even had a sprain.
OK，
But I did, fall a lot and scrape myself up. Yeah, but you have to be careful because
没错。
an injury. So an injury is just was hurting yourself. That's what an
没错。
injury is, right? So you can hurt yourself in many different ways, and some
没错。
serious ways are like breaking bones, like an ankle, for example.
对，所以刚刚Shane老师他小时候玩的时候，他很幸运，他没有这个骨折啊，什么骨头撞到哪里，也没有 sprain， 也没有扭伤啊，都没有。所以他非常的幸运，所以呢，他只有什么呢 ？In addition to， 除了什么之外，也就是你做这些跑酷的运动的时候呢，你除了会有 scrapes， 就是擦伤啦，或者是黑啦 ，bruise 啊，就是一块蓝一块绿啦，那甚至呢，有一些更严重的这些受伤啦，例如就是像我们刚才讲的，你有可能脚踝骨折了，啊，这些东西都是很常见的。
That's right. I remember my friend was jumping from some stairs, and the stairs had a wall next to the stairs.
Okay.
And the stairs went over, and there was an area where there was a garage. And there was a space, and the space was maybe, we'll say, about 2 meters or
Okay.
2.5 meters. And you have to jump from this wall onto this garage.
Okay.
And he went to jump, and when he was going too fast, and he slipped, and he fell bah,
Wow.
onto the ground. But he didn't break a bone either.
OK，
Just some
没
scrapes.
事儿，没事儿。
When you're like 12 years old,
12岁没什么事啦。
nothing will happen to you. You're like invincible. But once you get older, then you really break things. So you
Yeah,
need to be
right.
careful. Okay, so some parkour athletes practice in dangerous areas, such as industrial zones or abandoned buildings. Yeah, my favorite place was construction zones.
他到那种建筑工地。
Yeah, that was one of my favorite places to go jump around. So that's kind of like an industrial zone. Industry or industrial is an area where they are building things and manufacturing things. So they have buildings there that are for the purpose of making things, right?
Yeah.
These kind of zones have a lot more walls and different kinds of like gongchang or something like that. Yeah.
所以刚才Shane老师讲说，他小时候也是喜欢在这种建筑工地里面做这个跑酷的这个活动啦，哈。那主要就是因为嘛，我们刚才讲了这些运动员，当他们要去训练的时候呢， 找的这些地方呢是比较危险的，因为危险的这些场所呢，它就有很多的 obstacles 跟 challenges， 他们就可以想办法。我这边有一个，比如说有一个柱子，有一个墙，看起来好像还没做完的墙，我要怎么样跳过去这个墙，等等等。好，所以在这些所谓的刚才讲的 such as industrial zones， 就是这些所谓的工业区。我们知道 zone 呢，通常就是有一些不同特殊用途的这种地区。然后或者呢，他们就找一些所谓废弃的 abandoned， 就是废弃的一些大楼里面，就这个大楼可能一直荒废在这儿，都没有人进去使用，或没有人进去住。那里面可能有一些破破烂烂的地方啊，或怎么样？他们觉得这也是他们练习的一些地方。
Right. Okay. In those places, a single fall can result in serious injury or even death. Because you are typically in those type of places, you're going to be at higher, you're going to be at higher elevation. You're going to be on a higher, maybe a higher floor. You're going to be doing that. And imagine an abandoned building. There's probably a lot of loose, like construction, like loose, maybe some bricks, or wires, or nails, or maybe people were up there and they broke some glass. There's going to be that if you're jumping from one place to another, it's not going to be very stable. And it'd be very easy to take a fall.
没错，刚刚老师就讲说，这些所谓的 abandoned buildings 里面有一些比较松的，这些东西都还不是非常的 stable 的东西，就是比如说有一些钉子啦，还有一些砖块啦，等等等的，他们都松松的，所以其实本身你光是走进这种 abandoned这个 buildings， 你就已经很危险了，你就把你自己置身在危险之中，更何况你还要在里面跑啊、跳啊、翻啊这些东西的，所以在这些地方呢，你就算很简单的稍微的 fall， 你可能只是稍微跌倒一下，可能呢就会 result in， 可能就会 cause 严重的这个受伤，甚至你可能就死亡了。
Gone. So be careful. If you decide to try parkour, it's important to know your skill level and progress gradually before attempting dangerous moves. So to progress is to make progress, or to progress is to become better, to improve, to go from not doing something at all or not doing it very well to doing it very well, right? It's a progression.
Yes.
Right? And if you're doing this progress gradually before attempting, now an attempt just means trying to do something.
Yes.
Right? So before you're attempting these dangerous moves, you need to know what is my level?
Yes.
I can't just, go to these abandoned buildings and jump from one thing to another if I have no skill.
没错，像这件事情你就不能 follow suit， 你就不能仿效了。你不能说，我要跟谢老师一样在那边跳啊跳啊跑啊跑。有时候你还是要看看自己有多厉害。所以这个句子就是说呢，如果你真的打算尝试这个跑酷，也是可以的。但是呢，你最好这件事情是很重要的，就是你自己知道一下你自己的技术水准在哪儿吧，你的水平在哪，你再去尝试。而且你最好是 progress， 刚刚老师讲就是进步的意思，而且是 gradually, little by little， 慢慢逐渐的让你自己变得比较厉害。你不要一口气想说我今天练习了3个小时，我就变成了什么很专业的选手，是很不太可能的。Before attempting， 刚刚讲了 attempting 就是 trying to do something， 就是你努力尝试，你真的很想要做什么，做一些很危险的 moves。我们知道这个 moves 就是一些你为了达到一个目的而去做了一个很具体的一个行动，就是你真的要去跳，你要去 vaulting 等等的这些动作，你还是看看你自己的技术水准到哪儿吧。
然后我真的要强调 emphasize
Okay.
that parkour is very dangerous.
Yes.
It's an extreme sport. So this is something to really consider. Might not be for you, and not everybody should really be doing parkour. I would say it's a very extreme sport. If you are going to do it, maybe use safety equipment.
Yes.
You might not look cool doing it, but it is very dangerous. So keep in mind, this is a very extreme sport and a very dangerous sport. So take your time in learning it if you must if you must do this kind of sport.
对了，如果你非做不可，你非要去从事这个跑酷运动的话呢，Shane 老师就建议大家，你还是带一些装备吧，啊，保护你的这些 joints， 啊，保护你的 knees， 或我觉得头是最重要，对，带一个 helmet 啊，这个非常的重要。那这些东西呢，你都准备好了，那你要去做这个活动的时候，也要找一个比较安全的地点，不要找这些 abandoned buildings， 不要，对。
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Hopefully, you found this to be a very interesting and exciting article. I know that I did. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.